What's happening, everyone? This is True for New York State of Mind. I have a special guest today for the first of the summer, actually. It's Hunnid. Please introduce yourself.
I go by the name of Hunnid, man. Hunnid. We keep it 100 on this side, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And actually, I mean, even though I just sort of said it just now, this is my first interview of the summer. I took a break since the semester ended.
Yep.
You know, I saw some family, got kind of reorganized, but this is sort of the start of my summer series of my show, and you're our first guest. I'm really excited about that.
Oh yeah, same here, man. You're off to a great start, man.
I think I am.
Definitely.
And so let's jump right into it. So for the listeners that are not familiar, why don't you talk a little bit about, you know, how you got into the rap scene, you know, when you started, what you started with, you know, stuff like that.
Right. Music was introduced to me early. A youngin', probably 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. With grandma playing the music around the house. So the oldies, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, it's like always kind of been there.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like professionally and taking it serious, more so when I got older, when I noticed that the people really took a liking to what I was doing.
Right.
But music has been in my life forever, and I just decided to, you know what, take that extra step and take that final step after I saw people was liking the music.
For sure. And so, if I'm not mistaken, you started recording music at 18. Is that correct? Around that age?
Yeah. That's actually when I bought my equipment. Man, I decided to, you know, put on my big boy pants and go get the mic and the equipment and give it a shot. And ever since then, been rocking strong.
For sure. And so, what was sort of, if there was a moment when you were like, I should start getting serious about this. Like maybe I should start making, you know, get serious, buy the equipment, make the real music that I should be making. You know.
I don't know. It was just like, it just worked out for me, I guess. I had my own money. I was like, let's just give it a shot and see what happens. And it just worked out for me. You know, it's like if you go in the gym and you shoot a couple shots and you notice that you're hitting them, you're gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna try basketball out. But if you go in there and you airball, it's like, Mom, this ain't the sport for me. You feel me? So it just kind of went like that.
Fantastic analogy. Fantastic.
Thank you.
And so, all right. So you made a couple free throws. You know, you got yourself into the game. Sort of, but in doing that, what was? Because I know you're from Chicago, which everyone knows has a very deep and rich rap history and culture. And I'm wondering that even though, you know, your sound sonically does not sound much like anyone else's that I've heard from Chicago, did you take any influences from those that came before you?
Definitely. You know, I like to pay homage. You have to, you know, pay homage to the forefathers.
Of course.
Twista, Common, Kanye, et cetera, man. But Twista, definitely, I took a page from his book. Kanye, you know, he kind of showed you that you don't have to be a gangster rapper. You know, you could actually go to school, and you can even drop out of school and you know, still pursue music. Common, just the lyrical breakdown, you know, the metaphors, you know. So I definitely took a page out of all of their books and kind of mixed it in with what I was doing.
For sure.
But as far as my sound compared to anybody's in Chicago,
not that you have to be similar to someone else. I'm just wondering if you might have taken, you know, it's like I appreciated that, you know, like as an example, for instance, not your sound but the beat that you're rapping over. I could see, for example, like Chief Keef spitting on that kind of beat. You know, it's a little grimy and a little forward thinking. And I thought maybe, not trying to make a connection, but maybe there might be of influences there. If there's not, then
yeah. But I mean, from the greats, not none of the young guys. Right. They're doing that thing, but didn't influence me, man.
Right.
And that's specifically Chicago. Outside of that, Tupac, and then
Okay.
et cetera.
For sure. And so let's talk about this track that came out, which has over 50,000 on SoundCloud. Is that correct?
Yep,
Money Up.
Yep.
So congratulations for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And so it's called Money Up.
Yes, indeed.
Obviously, it's about you getting your money up recently.
Thank you. There you go. Yep, you're breaking it down.
And so what has that been like for you? Because I know that you grew up in a single-parent household in a sort of poverty-stricken area of Chicago.
Facts,
I mean, is that sort of what was behind you making this track? You know.
Well, this particular track was just where I was at in life at that particular point in time, and you know, I just wanted to make it relatable. I was experimenting a lot. I wanted to give it a different sound. I didn't want it to blend in with everything that was going on. I wanted it to be like, this is Hunnid sound, you know. So I was experimenting with a lot, and I wanted to relate to the people without boasting and bragging about some stuff that I do not have, you know, which is like a Lamborghini or pull up in an Audi or whatever it is. So I literally broke it down like, you know what, we're going to dumb it down a little bit for, you know, make it commercial. And it was like, while I was, while you was hanging out with such and such, I was trying to get my money up. While you was focused on such and such, I was trying to get my money up. So it's just really just embracing that struggle and really being proud of it. It's like, there's nothing wrong with not having all these materialistic things.
Yeah,
the hustle is something that, like, you should, take pride in it, like, wear it like a badge,
And it's funny because I think you're sort of jumping on to something interesting here, where you see that in a lot of commercial rap nowadays, it is about having your money up, but it's about being like, I own all these material things, and you don't,
Exactly.
And it's like, a lot of people are kind of like, damn, like, I can't relate to that because I will never own, as of right now, and most likely I will never own those things.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of jumping onto that, not commercialism, but like in the sense that, yeah, I'm about the hustle, but, I'm not there yet. I'm not with, like, these little pump, whatever these guys are talking about.
Exactly.
And I think that's true what you're saying, that it is a lot more relatable,
Facts.
A lot of people, especially probably from your neighborhood,
Oh,
growing
definitely.
up, are like, yeah, this guy made it out. This
Yeah.
guy's making it happen,
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think that's interesting right there, and that it's like not straying too far away from what's popular,
Right.
but sort of acknowledging that that's not what it has to be like.
Exactly.
Just having all that material wealth,
Definitely. I wanted to kind of represent my brand. It's like, Hunnid is just, it's where I come from, first off, and then secondly, it's because, like, you're going to hear a lot of, like, honesty from me. I'm attacking politics. Like, it's just more in my library, in other music songs or whatever, but just in general, the brand, man. We're attacking politics, society, day-to-day struggles, emotions, whatever you want to call it, but this particular song just, like, highlighted that struggle and that hustle, and it's just more to come from the brand.
Okay, for sure. And so what do you have planned for the brand, now you're mentioning that?
Oh, man. Well, right now I have the next single on deck is called Bust That.
Bust That, okay.
Yeah. It's coming out real soon, but it's more, I'm still experimenting. I'm in my bag right now, man. I'm playing around with songs and all types of melodies and stuff, but it's like Afro beat, it's pop, R&B. People know the Hunnid for being like grimy and witty with the metaphors and stuff like that, and going over some hard 808s with some drums and stuff like that. But this one is kind of a switch up.
Okay.
I'm really going commercial with, like, these next couple of records, and then also I remixed Drake and Block Boy JB's Look Alive.
Look Alive, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that video's coming. I went nuts on that. So. I went nuts on that.
All right, for sure. And so so for yourself, you made money up. It's got you got 50K on SoundCloud, which is pretty impressive. Is that sort of giving you any? How do I say this? Because you say you're experimenting, right?
Yes, definitely.
But the fact that succeeded so well on SoundCloud, does that give you any sort of intention to, if say you produce an EP or an album, move in the direction that Money Up is going with, or do you still want to, if you are to release one in the future, would you still want to keep it mostly experimental? Yeah.
I'm definitely going to release one EP in the future, when they demand that from me.
Okay.
But
yeah.
as far as experimenting with certain sounds, it's probably going to continue. It's probably going to continue. I'm still going to keep that traditional mold that everybody loves about me, but I don't want to limit myself. I still want to grow as an artist, and I'm growing as a person, so I'm going to be forced to experiment by default. Yeah. And
so, but the experimenting the sound, because, like I said, this one has a bit more of a grimy, bit like almost like a futuristic.
Yeah.
It has that same, I was going to mention that the first three notes remind me exactly of like Shooter by Playboi Carti, if you heard that song.
I don't think I heard of it.
Here, I'll play you the first, not that, I'm not saying it at all, that
right.
they're meant to be similar, but I'm just saying, by
got
coincidence,
you.
It's pretty funny that.
Got you.
So look, this is the first like three notes of Money Up right here. 1 second.
Okay.
Oh wait, sorry, 1 second, wrong version.
Okay.
Like that, and then this is the first three of Shooter by Playboi Carti.
Oh wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's nuts.
But it's
wow.
But it's funny in that they're both. It's a cool new wave that people using these beats. It's almost it has this weird like retro feel to it because it could be like 80s, but at the same time like what's old is not new to us. So it also feels futuristic.
Facts.
If you know what I mean.
Definitely.
But so with that in mind, you know, when you are, you know, listening to beats and deciding which ones, oh, that sounds good, that sounds, you know, not so much like me.
Right.
In such an experimental phase, what kind of beats are you listening to right now? Which kind of ones do you think, oh, that's what I'm gonna look forward to, like, to rapping over?
Oddly enough, I don't have a type.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So it really is just like very purely everything experimental right now.
I kind of go off feeling, you
Okay.
know. Like I'm a passionate artist, so I feel like it has to move me in some way. Like when I perform that record, like it comes from the heart. So I can perform that everywhere, anywhere, and I won't get tired of it. You know what I'm saying? So I try to keep that same. I try to apply that to everything that I do as far as when I listen to beats. And I just have to feel it. If I don't feel it, then I probably won't do it, you know?
Fair.
I don't want to go up there and rap or do something that I'm not really feeling. So the beat has to be banging and I have to connect with it.
Okay. And then going more back to your style, though, in your writing, you did mention that you're known for the sort of the witty metaphors, the lyricism. And speaking of which, it is interesting because the beat, I mean, like, this can apply to all kinds of beats nowadays.
Right.
But the beat very well could be like a mumble rap type beat. But it's interesting that it's with your lyricism over it, you know? It's a little unexpected, if you will.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, like, when you're writing for your, assuming you write your own songs.
Oh, so yeah, definitely. No Drake or Cardi B going on.
Exactly, yeah, none of that. But when you're writing your songs, you know, what is your process that you go about, you know, and how to structure your lyrics and how to, you know, write the hooks, stuff like that, you know?
I usually let the beat just roll out and bang. Like,
all right.
I put it on repeat, man. I let it bang, I let it slam, and see how I want to approach it, you know, because like Money Up, I could have did something different to it, but I had the division of doing something commercial with it, you know, so I wanted to make sure it was kind of simple, kind of dumbed down just a little bit, but the process for that is just simply let the beat bang and I just let my mind go.
Okay, fair.
And we come up with something.
And then the inspiration came from, you know, the changes that have happened in your life.
Oh yeah,
is
definitely.
That where your inspiration tends to come from, or do you pull from sort of all, you know, like, you know, socio-political commentary, or, you know?
I would say everything.
Okay.
If you didn't use everything, you know, to your benefit, then you're doing something wrong.
True.
You know, so I try to absorb everything. Like even a documentary on cartoons can, you know, be applied to something. You know what I'm saying? So I just try to pull from everywhere and make sure it's me. You know.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna pull. I don't know if you guys know who Nardwar is, but I borrowed this question from him because I think it's a good way for people to sort of pitch themselves, if you will, to an audience. So, speaking to these listeners who, you know, I'm assuming may not be that familiar with your music.
Right.
Why should they listen to Hunnid's music?
Oh, if you want creativity, if you want passion, lyricism, that doesn't exist or isn't as popular in today's music, go listen to the brand. Go listen to Hunnid, man. Just that simple. Creativity, passion, lyricism, wittiness. Yeah, go tune in.
And where could they tune into this type of music?
Oh, everywhere, literally.
Okay.
But Spotify, you name it, Deezer, SoundCloud, yeah, you name it, really, everywhere. All the platforms.
Absolutely. And I know you're here just for a press run, but
yes.
Going forward, obviously this is going to be hard to estimate, but would there be a chance possibly for these listeners to consume Hunnid's music live?
Oh, definitely. I was here not too long ago at the Amadeus, I think it is, in Queens performing. I think Graf was the headline, and some other native artists, some artists from Queens or whatever. But yeah, definitely. I'll be back here, man. Y'all show me love over here. So,
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man. Every time I come here, it's just nothing but love and good times. So when I figure out that date, I'll definitely you'll be the first to know.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, you'll be in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Chicago for a bit. I literally just came from like Cincinnati about like a week or two ago.
Okay.
So obviously I'm here in New York. But yeah, I'm gonna go back home, get some things situated, and then figure out the next move.
Absolutely. All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to add to this interview? If got anything on your mind you want to talk about?
Nah, man, I'm living. Just Bus That is coming out June.
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. RP my broski Streets, man. Long Live Streets is a campaign. Double CG everything, and it's Hunnid.
And it's Hunnid.
Yeah.
All right, absolutely. All right, well, this has been the Hunnid interview on New York State of Mind. This will probably air either, depending on how this goes, either this Wednesday or next Wednesday. I'm not absolutely sure yet. I'll let you guys know. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'll be back with more with New York-based set lists after this. And also, this just happened. Rest in peace to XXX Tentacion. Gotta say that.
Rest in peace.
That is crazy.
Yes.
And we'll see all of you guys later. Bye-bye.